Welcome to Naturally par José, a podcast on health and well-being. I am your host, José Fortin. I hope you had an enjoyable holiday season and took time to rest. I wish you all a happy new year and most importantly, well-being and good health. We are starting this new year with a lot of varied topics and information that could be useful to you. So far, we have covered health issues with ways to regain homeostasis in your body. Today, we are going to do something different. I am going to talk about a category of supplements, the vitamins, and see with you their role in our body and how to recognize a good quality supplement. Vitamins are essential organic substances for the well being of our body. With the exception of vitamin D and vitamin K, the human body generally cannot produce them on its own. So it is essential to ingest food on a regular basis that contain a good variety of vitamins. They play a very important role in the transformation and use of macronutrients, such as protein, sugars, and fats that we consume in our diet. They are very important for the proper functioning of our body in general and all our different systems. Most vitamins have very specific roles, such as ensuring night vision, blood clotting, and the maintenance of myelin on our nerves. But most have multiple functions that impact most of our metabolic pathways and have a protective effect at multiple levels. They can protect organs like our liver and our kidneys. They can have an antioxidant effect on our cells and even help protect our genetic code. They all have very specific roles in the body and are all equally important. In all, 13 different vitamins have been listed. In general, there are two categories of vitamins: water soluble vitamins and liposoluble vitamins. Water soluble vitamins are vitamins that need to be ingested in small amount regularly to maintain our health because the body does not accumulate significant amount of these vitamins and the excess is usually eliminated through the kidneys. If you ingest too much of these vitamins in your food or as a supplement, the kidneys will then eliminate the excess. In this category, we find vitamin C and the 8 vitamins of the B complex. One sign that we take in more than the body needs is that our urine turns a bright shade of yellow when the excess is eliminated. Liposoluble vitamins, which include vitamin A, E, D, and K, are usually found with lipids in food and are best absorbed when our diet contains a certain amount of healthy fats. Some lipid soluble vitamin supplements also contain other fats to help with their assimilation. Most people are able to get all the vitamins they need for their health through a diet of unprocessed and varied food. However, certain health conditions, the intake of medications, the type of diet, or specific circumstances can cause vitamin deficiency, and taking supplement is therefore necessary to meet our nutritional needs. Pregnant and breastfeeding women, as well as high-level athletes, have increased needs for vitamins. People with restricted or specific diets, example those with a lot of food allergies or who follow diets that eliminate major food categories, such as vegans, may have more difficulty getting enough of specific vitamins. People with assimilation problems, and here we are talking about a reduction in assimilation with age, the use of certain medications that can interfere with the assimilation of specific vitamins, the frequent consumption of alcohol, some genetic problems where certain enzymes are not produced and which can impact our ability to assimilate or transform vitamins into their active form, or specific disease such as inflammatory bowel problems, the removal of any part of the digestive system, or deficiencies in other elements necessary for the assimilation or use of these vitamins. If you have specific health conditions or are taking medications, it is important to check if you are at risk of developing specific vitamin deficiencies. This can go a long way in reducing the risk of developing secondary problems arising from your main health problems. The nutritional intake recommended by the authorities is based on the level of vitamins needed to maintain a good health. Whereas when someone is already lacking specific vitamins or has specific health problems, these levels will not necessarily be enough to restore normal levels. In general, the important thing to remember about vitamins is that people are much more at risk of having a vitamin deficiency than a surplus, unless they take mega doses on a long period of time. The vitamins that are at higher risk of overdosing are vitamin A and vitamin D. If you ever have a surplus of these vitamins, topping supplementation will usually be enough to return the levels to normal. In countries located in the northern hemisphere, an overdose of vitamin D is almost impossible unless you take massive doses long term. Some protocols suggest taking more than what is suggested on vitamin bottles to compensate in case of deficiencies. But before proceeding, it is best to do blood tests to assess your levels and to retest periodically to assess the effectiveness of taking the necessary vitamins and making sure that the level do not increase too much. Vitamin supplements sometimes contain vitamins extracted from food sources and are then considered from natural sources, but most contain synthetic vitamins made in a laboratory. When studied in a laboratory, molecules exposed to polarized light can deflect this light to the left, then we are talking about the L isomer, or to the right, the D isomer. It is a bit like when we look at our hands and feet next to each other. They look the same, but just reversed. In nature, living things usually produce molecules that deflect light always in the same direction, while synthetic molecules produced in laboratories have an equal mixture of molecules of each kind, and this mixture usually does not deflect light. In practice, this means that only half the synthetic molecules can usually be used by our enzymes because the change in shape does not allow the molecule and enzyme to mold together and carry out the chemical reaction. It is a bit like trying to put a glove made for your left hand on the right hand or a shoe on the wrong foot. This is not too comfortable, and in the case of vitamins, they will not be able to be used or processed as effectively by the body, and the effectiveness of the supplement will be affected. It is hard to tell if you're dealing with a synthetic vitamin or a natural source vitamin just by looking at the bottle. But if you look at the list of ingredients, and more specifically what is in brackets next to the name of the vitamin, and there is a D or a L in front of the chemical name of the molecule, this usually indicates that you're dealing with a natural occurring vitamin. If there is neither a D or a L in front of the chemical name of the molecule, this often indicates a synthetic form, but it is not always the case. In some cases, taking synthetic vitamins versus a natural source one will not have an impact on their effectiveness, but in some cases, it makes a significant difference. And I will specify for what vitamin it is important to choose natural sources over synthetic sources when we are looking at them individually. In a lot of cases, vitamin in their active form, which mean in a form ready to be used by the body, do not always have a long shelf life and are not always the ideal form to put in supplements, as they can be a lot less stable than their non-active precursors. For that reason, we can often find vitamins in our supplements in different forms of non-active precursors. Some may be easier than others to assimilate and transform into an active form than just trying to absorb them ready to be used. Also, we do not necessarily have the same benefits when taking different form of precursor of these vitamins. Again, to find out what form of vitamins is in your supplement, you have to look at the list of ingredient and the form of the vitamin is indicated in bracket next to its generic name. If we need a specific vitamin and need to take a single vitamin supplement, it is particularly important to make sure we choose a form that has been shown to be easier for the body to assimilate and use. Sometimes different forms of the same vitamin do not have quite the same role in the body, so here again it's important to choose carefully to have a product that actually gives the desired effect. Let's start by looking at water-soluble vitamins and their benefits. As a reminder, we cannot stock up on most of these vitamins, and the kidneys tend to eliminate the excess when levels rise too much. This is not to say that a small amount is not retained in the body for more immediate needs, but these reserves tend not to last very long. A varied diet with plenty of whole foods tend to provide adequate level of these vitamins, but again, you need to pay attention to specific circumstances and ensure regular supply. Let's start with the B complex vitamins. These vitamins are usually taken all together because they facilitate each other assimilation and often work as a team. If one of the B complex vitamin is found to be deficient in our body, we can take this vitamin individually in dose recommended by health professional, but it is strongly suggested that we take a B complex supplement at the same time to help its assimilation. Be very careful with slow dissolving B complex supplements, considering that the purpose of slow dissolving supplement is to only get access to a bit of them at any time. But in case of deficiencies, people usually already have more difficulty with their assimilation and digestion of these vitamins, which only seems to compound the problem. It is preferable to take B complex that is not slow dissolving, but as low doses and to repeat the intake a few times a day instead of taking a massive dose that may not be well digested and assimilated. In general, B complex vitamins have a great effect on the different metabolic pathways that provide energy to our body, as well as the efficiency and integrity of our nervous system. Several of these vitamins also have an impact on stress management. So let's see what each of them can bring us. Thiamine, also referred to as vitamin B1, plays a very important role in energy production and stress management. It acts as a coenzyme in carbohydrate metabolism. It helps the production of fatty acid by the liver and the production of steroids by the adrenal glands. It is also important for the production of nucleic acid, the building block that makes up our genetic code, as well as the amino acid that compose our proteins. Thiamine deficiencies can cause inflammation of the nerves and beriberi, which is usually characterized by digestive discomfort, constipation, peripheral neurological changes, sleep disturbances, poor memory, sometimes cardiovascular problems, and even anorexia. Heavy alcohol consumption and chewing betel nuts usually also cause a thiamine deficiency. The first symptoms that may indicate a lack of thiamine are fatigue and irritability, very general symptoms that are difficult to associate with a specific deficiency. It is often when the deficiency becomes more pronounced and the following symptoms appear that it becomes easier to detect a B1 deficiency. These symptoms include loss of appetite, nerve damage, also called neuropathy, tingling in the arms and legs, blurred vision, nausea, and vomiting. In severe cases, there may be confusion, hallucination, memory loss, and even delirium. Dietary sources of thiamine are beef, nutritional yeast, legumes, especially beans and lentils, nuts, oats, pork, whole grains, particularly wheat and rice, dairy products, and some fruits such as oranges. The process of refining grains removes most of the thiamine naturally contained in these foods. The population most at risk of thiamine deficiencies are people who consume very large quantities of white rice. In most cases, simply eating thiamine-rich foods, a healthy microbiota, and taking a B complex can be enough to restore balance. A healthy microbiota can be an important source of thiamine. See episode 4 and 5. If the deficiency is more severe, a healthcare professional may recommend appropriate dosage to your specific situation. Riboflavin, also known as B2, plays an important role in vital metabolic processes and is necessary for normal cell function, energy production, red blood cell formation and integrity, and growth. Its role in energy production stems mainly from the fact that it acts on our mitochondria, the organelle in our cells that produce energy from sugar. It also has an impact on protein and fat metabolism. Like all B vitamins, it also has a crucial effect in the proper functioning of our nervous system. It is essential in the production of myelin, and a deficiency of riboflavin is associated with a high level of homocysteine, which increases inflammation and risk of neurotoxic episodes, cardiovascular problems, and multiple sclerosis. The effect of riboflavin on homocysteine is thought to come from its regulatory effect on nitric oxide, which also explains its balancing effect on blood pressure and its beneficial effect on migraines. Riboflavin is a cofactor for the activity of glutathione reductase, which increases the concentration of glutathione, the most powerful antioxidant and the only one found in the nucleus of our cells. This helps protect our genetic materials, so our DNA. An increase in glutathione would also help in the prevention of cataract formation. Vitamin B2 also has a positive effect on adrenal functions, stress management, and on the equilibrium of our microbiota. Being one of the components of the B complex, it particularly helps in the activation of B6, the creation of niacin, which is also known as B3, and it also works with B6, folic acid, and B12 in the reduction of homocysteine levels. More specific signs of riboflavin deficiencies include itchy and burning eyes, eye sensitivity to light, itchy and peeling skin on the nose and scrotum, and sores around the mouth. Riboflavin is found in most foods, but food rich in riboflavin are dairy products, meat, eggs, nuts, and green vegetables. Again, the consumption of food rich in riboflavin, a healthy microbiota, and the intake of a B complex is usually enough to restore balance during deficiencies. In more severe cases, your healthcare professionals can advise you of the level to take in supplement form. Niacin and niacinamide are the two active forms of vitamin B3. Niacin is converted to niacinamide when ingested in physiological doses, and their effect is then identical. At low doses, they are both very safe, but be careful with high doses of niacin as it has more contraindication in specific conditions and with the intake of several medications. Niacin deficiency causes fatigue, digestive problems, skin lesions, and in some severe cases, pellagra, a condition characterized by dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia. It is more often seen in underprivileged countries, in chronic alcoholism, carcinoid tumors, and in Hartnupp's disease, a genetic disorder that interferes with the absorption of tryptophan, an important factor in the production of niacin. Niacin has a protective role on the circulatory system, mainly through its regulatory effect on lipid metabolism, particularly cholesterol and triglycerides. It also has a protective effect on the myocardium of the heart, a vasodilatator effect and a mediating effect on platelet formation. It could be an interesting addition for heart problems, but it has a lot of potential to interact with a variety of drugs and is not recommended for diabetes, liver or kidney problems because it could then worsen the situation. A study shows that too much of it can have a harmful effect on the heart. It is another situation where taking a B complex as well as a food intake would be preferable to high doses. In high doses, niacinamide does not have as much of the negative effect of niacin, but it does not demonstrate the same benefits on fat metabolism. Rather, it seems to have a protective effect on beta cells of the pancreas, the cells responsible for insulin production. It is said to have an anti-inflammatory effect that can help with joint deterioration problems, help reduce skin hyperpigmentation, and can be used in the prevention and treatment of sarcopenia, the breakdown of muscle with age. In our eyes, niacinamide is neuroprotective, supporting retinal and optical nerve health. Niacin is found in many food, but particularly in yeast, poultry, fatty fish, legumes, particularly the lentils, milk, eggs, green vegetables, mushrooms, potatoes, and whole grains. Niacinamide is found in the same foods, but also in beans. Tryptophan, found in red meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products, is easily converted into niacin when ingested. In the case of pantothenic acid, also known as B5, only the D isomer has biological activity. So a natural source is particularly important for its effectiveness. It is never found alone in supplements and usually combined with other B complex vitamins. Pantothenic acid play a role in the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. It is also a precursor of coenzyme A, an important element in cellular metabolism, particularly in the release of energy and the metabolism of sugars, in the synthesis and breakdown of fatty acids, in the synthesis of steroids by the adrenals, and acetylcholine by nerves. In combination with B6, it is of particular interest to help with stress management and is often found in supplements that have the role of supporting the adrenal functions. Pantothenic acid deficiencies are associated with the following symptoms: drowsiness, fatigue, muscle weakness, numbness and tingling of the extremities, cardiovascular instability, gastrointestinal problems, changes in disposition, and increased susceptibility to infections. Pantothenic acid is found in almost all plants and animals, and particularly in meats, vegetables, grains, legumes, eggs, and milk. There are three active forms of vitamin B6: pyridoxine, pyridoxal, and pyridoxamine. B6 play a very important role in the amino acid metabolism because it allows transamination, a process in which the body can convert surplus amino acid into non-essential amino acids present in low concentration in the body. So basically, it helps balance things out. It is also involved in the metabolism of carbohydrates and lipids, particularly the metabolism of polyunsaturated fats and phospholipids. It plays a very important role in the synthesis of several neurotransmitters, such as serotonin, GABA, norepinephrine, and dopamine. It is important in the synthesis of hemoglobin and helps reduce the formation of kidney stones that contain oxalic acid. Finally, it has been proven to help reduce nausea during pregnancy and to reduce premenstrual symptoms. Pyridoxine is found in many foods, but particularly in whole grains, legumes, vegetables, liver, meats, and eggs. A dose of 100 mg per day is considered safe as a supplement for most people, and 75 milligram during pregnancy, but in that specific case, under supervision of your healthcare providers. Biotin, or also known as B7, can be found in food associated with lysine, an amino acid. But biotin needs to be released by an enzyme called biotinidase before it can be assimilated and transformed into its active form. Biotin is a cofactor involved in the synthesis and catabolism, the breakdown of fatty acids, and in the formation of sugar molecules. It is recognized for its role in the health of hair and nails. When biotin is deficient, hair loss is increased, hair color is lost, and nails become more brittle. Biotin deficiency is also associated with scaly rashes around the eyes, nose, and mouth, a greater incidence of depression, lethargy, hallucination, and tingling of the extremities. Biotin helps regulate blood sugar concentration, aids sperm production, and aids in myelin synthesis. Egg white contains avidin, which binds to biotin and prevents its assimilation. Biotin is found in small quantities in most foods, but our microbiota is a very important source if it's well balanced. In the case of vitamin B9, it can come in different form. Folate is found naturally in food, while folic acid is the synthetic form of the vitamin and is often found in B complex supplements. Folic acid is also added to several food in the industry in an attempt to reduce the risk of brain and spinal cord malformation. It is strongly recommended to ensure an assimilation of at least 1 milligram of folic acid per day during pregnancy for exactly this reason. Some state that L-methylfolate is better absorbed than folic acid, but studies suggest that both forms give the same results in terms of folate blood concentration. On the other hand, a supplement of L5-methyl-tetrahydrofolate, also known as L5-MTH, would give better results if there's no vitamin B12 deficiency. A folic acid deficiency seems to have very important consequence for the development and functioning of the nervous system. Its role is mainly associated with its impact on homocysteine levels. The body can eliminate homocysteine in two ways, by remethylation or by transsulfidation. Folate in combination with B12 is an essential cofactor in the remethylation process, thus in the reduction of homocysteine in the body. The impact of this is understandable when you consider that excessive accumulation of this molecule is associated with an increased risk of arteriosclerosis of the brain, cardiovascular system, and peripheral system. It can also increase the risk of venous thrombosis, cardiac arrest, and brain clot formation. Folate also appears to help improve nerve conduction velocity, a measure of any damage to the nervous system and any dysfunction. According to preliminary research, folate deficiency may play a role during the development of Alzheimer's disease and brain atrophy. B9 deficiency is also very common in people with depression and may even reduce the effectiveness of antidepressant treatments. Several studies indicate that taking folate helps reduce inflammation levels in the body by reducing C-reactive protein levels. Food sources of folate include beef liver and kidney, asparagus, mushrooms, yeast, legumes, green leafy vegetables such as spinach, lettuce, and broccoli, as well as fruits such as bananas, melons, oranges, tomatoes, and lemons. Vitamin B12, or cobalamin, is found mainly in food from animal sources, and this is the reason why vegetarian or vegan should be especially careful and have their B12 level checked regularly to ensure they are getting enough of it. These vitamins usually come in two forms in supplements, either cyanocobalamin, a precursor to vitamin B12, but in this case, the body has to metabolize it to its active form. And if the liver is not in good shape, it can have a little bit more problem doing so. It can also come in its active form, which is the methylcobalamin. In that case, the assimilation is greatly increased, but also the use of it, since the liver health has no impact on how well the body can use it. About 60% of the assimilation of B12 takes place in the terminal ileum, the first part of your small intestine, and it takes place when this vitamin binds to the intrinsic factor. The other 40% is assimilated by diffusion throughout the digestive tract. Like folate, vitamin B12 play a very important role in the elimination of homocysteine, which, as we have already mentioned, play a very important role in the health of the cardiovascular and nervous systems. It is also very important in the production of red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. In the case of red blood cells, a deficiency in B12 is usually responsible for megaloblastic anemia. In the nervous system, it is essential for the production of the myelin sheath, a protective substance that covers nerve cells and allow a better transmission of nerves impulse. It is important in the synthesis of DNA or genetic code, the proper functioning of our liver, and is essential for cell renewal and particularly in the skin. Food sources of B12 are fish, shellfish, meat, eggs, and dairy products. Vegetarians should concentrate their assimilation of B12 through their consumption of dairy products, while vegans can get them with food fortified in B12, nutritional yeast if fortified, shiitake mushrooms, seaweeds, some of them have more B12 than others, and lacto-fermented food. If we consider that the good bacteria in our gut does produce a fair amount of B12, but since 60% of it is absorbed in the small bowel, the effect is a little bit diluted. But considering these are usually the same bacteria that will be used in lacto-fermented food, eating a fair amount of those food could help making sure there's less risk of B12 deficiencies. So we can try to have more tempeh, miso, sauerkraut, kimchi. Those could all be good food to add when you're a vegan. Unlike other B-complex vitamins, the body is able to store B12. Taking a supplement when you're a vegan could be a good idea because you can actually build up your storage of B12. Apart from B-complex vitamins, the other water-soluble vitamin is vitamin C. Unlike many other mammals, humans are not able to produce vitamin C and must obtain it through food or supplements. Vitamin C is well absorbed at low doses, but the higher the dose, the worse the assimilation. This is mainly due to the fact that vitamin C is assimilated by a protein in the intestinal wall, and this protein is saturable. A large amount of the absorbed vitamin C is also eliminated in the kidneys if not used inside a few hours. Because of these two factors, it is impossible to overdose on vitamin C. Linus Pauling, who won a Nobel Prize in chemistry, was a strong advocate of taking mega doses of vitamin C. Adverse effects have never been recorded following the massive oral intake of vitamin C, and no cases of overdose have been recorded. Only be careful with vitamin C injections because there's no longer the protection of a maximum absorption by saturation. If a supplement is needed, it is best to take smaller doses and spread them out throughout the day. Some companies produce slow-dissolving supplements whose ultimate goal is to offer small doses spread out over a long period of time. However, if digestion is not at its best, or if the person is taking antacid, these supplements may go straight through the system without being digested. Buffered forms of vitamin C For example, calcium ascorbate, potassium ascorbate, or sodium ascorbate tend to be better absorbed and stay in the system a little longer than ascorbic acid and are a much better alternative to the slow dissolving supplements, the time release supplements. Vitamin C is mainly known for its antioxidant effect and its role on the immune system. It is an antioxidant that helps neutralize free radicals that can damage our DNA, proteins, or even our skin. It is used in the prevention and treatment of colds. It stimulates the T cell activity, which is responsible for specific immunity. It also stimulates phagocytosis, the way our cells have to eliminate foreign substances, bacteria, or viruses, as well as a role in the production of antibodies and interferon. Vitamin C also has an important role in the stability of collagen, a particularly important element in the health of our joints, bones, blood vessels, and skin. It is also said to have a mild antihistaminic effect, an antihypertensive effect, helps in the regulation of cholesterol, reduces oxidative stress on the circulatory system, and helps reduce inflammation in the body through its action on C-reactive protein, TNF alpha, and interleukin 6. It is also said to ensure the elimination of uric acid during gout problems. Food sources of vitamin C are vegetables and fruits in general, but especially citrus fruits. As mentioned earlier, there are no risks in taking vitamin C orally, and most people can benefit from taking it several times a day, both as a preventative measure and to help specific problems. However, keep in mind that kidneys must eliminate the excess, and that for people with a kidney problem, this can cause additional stress, and mega doses long term should be avoided. In summary, taking B complex vitamins and vitamin C can benefit most people. For B complex vitamins, however, it is recommended to stick to a general B complex formula that provides small doses of all these vitamins to ensure that you do not have a significant deficiency. This also helps to reduce the risk of overdose. For individual vitamin B, it is strongly recommended that you consult your healthcare professional familiar with your health concerns to determine if taking such a supplement is safe for you. For vitamin C, if we have kidney problems, so as not to overwork your kidneys, stick to smaller doses. For anybody taking medications, it is always important to make sure that adding a supplement will not affect the assimilation, action, or elimination of those medications. Always check before adding a supplement to your routine. In the next episode, we will explore the effect and benefit of fat-soluble vitamins and ways we can ensure the intake of enough of all the vitamins without causing imbalances. Important note, this podcast is not intended to replace your doctor's recommendations. It is always important to make sure that any changes you make are safe to do with your health problems and that the changes made are not likely to cause adverse reaction or affect the effectiveness of your medications. Thank you for listening to my podcast. If you appreciate the information conveyed in my podcast, I recommend that you subscribe to the platform you use. You can also activate your notification bell to be warned when I download a new episode that usually takes place every second Tuesday. Feel free to leave comments if you want more information on specific topics, and I hope I will see you next episode. Have a nice day.